Dawn. Good morning. Okay, we got both Dawns in the house today. I like it. Oh, and we have two Jills. Wow, this is like okay. Hold on one second. I want to pull up my screen. We're gonna do something different today. Oops, I don't know why that always does that. We're gonna do something different today. Well, not different. I mean, still a mindset lesson, but I found this from something I had done before, and I really liked it. So just wanted to be able to share it with you guys. But before we get started, let's type one thing that you are grateful for in the chat today, and think about something specifically that you are grateful for. And I specifically am very grateful for Heather and her attention to detail. So that is my right off of the bat, something I'm very specifically thankful for today. Health is always a good one. Oh my gosh, Dawn, cooler weather. I know. Yes. Are you still walking in the cold? Makes me want to walk every day. Yeah, I'm assuming you probably are. Yeah. Yep. Awesome.
It's not that cold here, but it's good weather. So.
Well, it's 50. It was 54 here, and I'm in Charleston this week, and it was 54 here this morning, which is kind of chilly for here.
I feel like it was 39 one in the
39?
morning. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I like it. I like walking in that. I love it. So I'm excited.
Woo!
I'm on a 90-day challenge of walking every single day, and it's at least a mile, and some days it's 2. But I'm telling you what, you guys, if you don't walk, you should walk. And it's like I just figured out that longer and more, I think, takes weight off.
Oh, just yeah. Saying. So there's a girl that I know, a lady that I know right now in Lexington. Actually, Stephanie Kelman, you know her. It's Deuce Kirk's daughter, Taylor. She's lost. Now she is doing a little bit of workout, but she started walking like between 10 and 15 miles a day. Or I think she started out and then she built up. Yeah, Stephanie, you should watch her on Instagram. It's nuts. And she's lost like, I didn't even think she had it to lose, but over like 40 pounds.
Wow.
And yeah, you should. Yes. And it's like from walking. I mean, she's like, I don't like to run. All these people like to run and I don't like to run. And I don't like to run either. I'm not a good runner. But anyway, yeah. So, yes, Amy, I would agree with you. Kim is crushing it right now. Oh, Terrell, I'm so glad you're on. Amazing relationships. Yep, perfect. Diane going to Colorado this weekend. That is super fun. I love it. So last week we had our little lesson from Help I Work with People, and just wanted to remind you guys, if you missed that, it is on in the Facebook group and also on YouTube. And I am almost finished with this book. Honestly, I took a pause in the middle of it because I needed to read something else really fast, which I don't know if you guys ever do that, but I'm really bad about that. And so now I've come back to this and I'm almost finished with it. Almost finished. Oh yeah, Stephanie, you're going to really like it. There's tons of great ahas and nuggets in there. And I'm honestly like, I'm really hoping that maybe John will bring him to speak when I go see him in November, because he has surprise guests. We don't ever know who it is. So, okay, today I want to jump in, and this might not take the full time, and it may, I'm not really sure because it's been a while since I've read these, but I wanted to share with you guys something around mindset on some great leaders and hope that you have some ahas that actually pop out of it. So we're going to do like 3 or 4 of these. Does anybody know who this is? Stephanie, were you here when I did this last time? Or do you? Okay. This is probably the hardest one of all of them. Well, maybe not. Okay, I'll tell you. This is John, and I think you say Gallardi, I think that G is silent, Gallardi. And so if you guys Google him, you're going to be amazed. So he was a college football coach for 63 years, 60 of those years for St. John's University in Minnesota. He has the most wins of any coach in college football history. He started coaching at the age of 22. He's known for his unique coaching approach, which he called winning the nose. He instructed his players not to call him coach. He never used a whistle or blocking sleds. He prohibited tackling in his practices. He did not require his players to lift weights and limited his team practices to 90 minutes. He was often found teaching while coaching, suggesting that offensive linemen in particular make good husbands because of their unselfishness and listening skills. So for those of you that aren't married, ladies, you should go find an offensive lineman. His players have often described him as innovative, unconventional, intriguing, and would respond that of all the things we did, I thought that they were just common sense. I was just trying to survive and win. I wasn't looking to make any converts. I always say that wrong. That's probably why I have it in there, how to say it. The converts bit is a common Gallardi quote. He insists he didn't care if others agreed with his tactics. Players called him John, not coach. No practices lasted longer than 90 minutes. And there were no wind sprints or laps. Not exactly Nick Saban stuff. The problem on defense is if you don't get near the ball carrier, if you get blocked or fooled or lined up in the wrong spot, how are you going to make the tackle, he says. So we were concentrating on offense. Offensively, St. John's ran play after play in practice, creating teams that marched up and down the field for one decade after another. Even without tackling, Gallardi believes you had to do more to separate yourself. You had to do it in other ways. You had to be quicker. You had to take better angles. You had to make better reads. It's the groundwork for playing smarter. His end of career track record, this is nuts, you guys, was 489 wins, 138 losses. So 78% of his career was a win. Isn't that nuts? I think he might have just passed away in the last couple of years, like year or two. I don't know that to be true, but I'm almost positive. So I think this is incredible. 78% of his career of 63 years were a win, which is just crazy. So, okay, so we're not gonna pause in between them because I want you guys to be thinking about similarities that you're seeing in each of these people and ahas that you're getting. So who knows who this one is? Surely someone will.
Is that Walt Disney?
It is Terrell for the win. Walt Disney. Yes, it is Walt Disney. So Walt Disney was born in 1901 in Chicago, and as a young boy was shy, insecure, and grew up in an abusive household. As he grew and matured, he adopted a warm and outgoing public persona. He loved drawing. He took art class after art class to get better at it. He moved to California, surrounded himself with talent and people who could help make his dreams come true. He developed the character Mickey Mouse, and from there, the rest is history. He had high standards and high expectations of those with whom he worked. He was known for something he called the unanimous disagreement, which meant that every meeting he had with his staff or the folks with whom he worked, he waited for the idea that everyone else unanimously decided was impossible or would never work. And that was the one that he decided to move forward with, which if you're a leader, that's really hard to do, by the way. He was an achiever and he was a planner and he knew exactly where he wanted to go and how he was going to go there. And I'm going to show you guys next what he had. His road led to much success, and he at some point in one way or another, this is crazy, honestly, has had a touch on almost every one of our lives on this Zoom and will for generations to come. I mean, can you think of one person whose life Walt Disney hasn't touched? It's crazy, honestly. And for those of you who've never seen this, I actually should have brought it over here to show you, but about 4 or 5 years ago, my friend Bob Sophia, Blair's husband, gave me this print in a matted big picture frame, and it's hung in my office forever. And I just recently brought it to Charleston because Adam wanted it. So he wanted to have it in the office here. But this is really hard to see, but this was the original Walt Disney organizational map, organizational chart. Like he knew what he wanted to do and where he wanted to go. And I just think it's crazy because you can see he had Disneyland, TV, publications, comic strips, Disney World, merchandise licensing. Like he just had no lack of vision for sure. Okay, here's the third one. Does anybody know who this is? Terrell will get this one too, I'm sure. He's probably already watched the
Russell Wilson?
No. Nope. Okay, you guys, I'm obsessed with this guy as of late, and I'll tell you why.
Tyler Murray. No,
yeah,
Tua. Okay.
Tua. It's okay. Tua. Yeah, so this is Tua, and I did have to put it because I butcher his last name. I think it's Tagovailoa. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. I need to rewatch it on Netflix. So he was born in March 2nd, 1998, and is a football quarterback for the Miami Dolphins and the NFL. Born and raised in Hawaii to Samoan parents, he attended St. Louis School in Honolulu. Following that, he attended the University of Alabama to play college football. He helped lead the Crimson Tide to back-to-back national championship game appearances during 2017 and 2018 sessions. There's so much I want to say. Hold on, let me read it and then I'll show you. Winning the former and being named its MVP. He won several other awards and honors for the 2018 season, including the Maxwell and Walter Camp Awards, as well as being named a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. In 2019, he suffered a dislocated hip during a game that prematurely ended his season. Despite the severity of it, he was drafted by the Dolphins with the 5th pick in the 2020 NFL draft. He is notably a left-handed quarterback, despite being right-handed, a trait taught to him as a child by his father. He's the oldest of 4 children in his family. He has said to have grown up with an intense interest in football, with his parents noting that he would sleep with a football under his arm every single night as a child. During the Pop Warner games, he was 8 years old when his peers could typically throw a football little more than 10 yards. He routinely threw passes more than 30 yards. As a child, his main inspiration was his grandfather, who was highly respected in the local Samoan community. His grandfather regularly was addressed as chief, and in their community, they talk about this in the Netflix documentary. And his grandfather believed that Tua would eventually grow into a football star. He honestly prophesized it on him. It is awesome when you watch it. And he requested that he visit him after every game to give him a report, no matter the time of day. He briefly considered quitting football after his grandfather's death in the mid-2014 year, until he and his father, and here was the reason why, and you'll see this in the documentary, because this is going to be your homework to watch this. I've watched it twice. I want to watch it again. His grandfather's funeral it ended up somehow getting scheduled during their playoff game. And his grandfather was like his life. So he was either going to have to miss the big, huge game or miss the funeral. And he was going to quit football altogether. And he ended up missing the funeral because he said he knew that's what his grandfather would want him to do. And he went and played this amazing game. And he said he felt his grandfather there the whole time. But anyway, until he and his father agreed that he could best honor him by continuing to play. He had 17 offers from colleges to play on a college football scholarship, including UCLA, Oregon, Colorado, and eventually enrolling in the University of Alabama. I know if Pam Stanley is on here, she knows him right now, by the way. He was invited to the NFL Combine, but did not participate in any drills due to him not being medically cleared at the time. This is really recent, so you can see he stated that he planned to participate at his pro day in April before it was canceled due to COVID. He was one of 58 players invited to the draft, which was held virtually due to social distancing regulations this year from the pandemic, where he was drafted by the Dolphins. And this is nuts. At his college jersey number was 13, but it was retired by the Dolphins because it was Dan Marino's. So he chose number 1 as his jersey number. And he just signed a 4-year rookie contract for $30 million with the Dolphins, which is incredible. So just think about some thoughts and ahas from him. And then this is our last one. And I know all of you guys know probably that this is Jeff Bezos. And so Jeff was born on January 2nd, 1964 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, to a teenage mother and his biological father, Ted. They were married less than a year, and when Bezos was 4 years old, his mother remarried a Cuban immigrant, Mike Bezos. As a child, Jeff showed an early interest in how things work, turning his parents' garage into a laboratory and rigging electrical contraptions around his house. He moved to Miami with his family as a teenager, where he developed a love for computers and graduated valedictorian of his high school. It was during high school that he started his first business, the Dream Institute, an educational summer camp for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. While his career in finance was extremely lucrative, he chose to make a risky move into the world of e-commerce. He quit his job in 1994, moved to Seattle, and targeted the untapped potential of the internet marketing by opening an online bookstore. The initial success of the company was mediocre. With no press promotion, Amazon.com sold books across the United States. Did you guys know Amazon.com was a bookstore before it was Amazon? I did not know that before reading this. And in 45 countries, foreign countries, within 30 days. In 2 months, sales reached 20,000 a week, growing faster than Bezos and his startup team had envisioned. Amazon.com went public in 1997, leading many market analysts to question whether the company could hold its own when traditional retailers launched their own e-commerce sites. 2 years later, the startup not only kept up, but also outpaced competitors, becoming an e-commerce leader. In July 2017, Bezos briefly surpassed Microsoft founder Bill Gates to become the richest person in the world, according to Bloomberg. and dropping back to number 2, which I now think he's back up to number 1. I think, I don't know. The Amazon chief then reclaimed the top spot, in October, and in January 2019, his pegged net worth was at 105.1 billion, making him the richest person in history. 2 months later, Bezos was up to 127 billion, equal to the combined wealth of 2.3 million average Americans, before continuing his surge to the 150 billion plateau in mid-July. So obviously this is a little past, because I believe since then he's got half that from his divorce. However, here are some things I want to leave you with Jeff Bezos. Here are some of his best words to future leaders and business owners. Your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. How true is that? You have to be willing to be misunderstood if you're going to innovate. One of the only ways to get out of a tight box is to invent your way out. I knew that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that, but I knew the one thing I might regret is not trying. If you don't understand the details of your business, you are going to fail. We have focused like a laser, and that really does matter. Keep our competitors focused on us while we stay focused on the customer. I love that one. Because how easy is it for us to focus on our competition, for those of us that have own businesses or lead businesses. The one thing that motivates me is a very common form of motivation, and that is with other folks counting on me, it's so easy to be motivated. So he must have a really high level of responsibility. When the world changes around you and when it changes against you, what used to be a tailwind is now a headwind. You have to lean into that and figure out what to do, because complaining isn't a strategy. And then if you're competitor focused, you have to wait until there is a competitor doing something. Being customer focused allows you to be more pioneering. And I just think that that is so, so true. So I would love to hear from some of you guys. What are some of your ahas from this? And what were some of the qualities or things that you heard that all of them had in common? And I had like 2 or 3, but I really want to hear what you guys think.
Dana, I'll start. This is Terrell out of Atlanta. One is the timing of you doing this couldn't be more appropriate. That we're going into business planning clinic time. So we're planning our business. And one thing that stuck out for me is that each of them had a plan and they trust the process. Gary says a lot, success is sequential, not simultaneous.
Yep.
And, each one of them pretty much had a plan and stuck to it.
Yep, I love that. Terrell, I'll send you this and you should put it in you share it with your people in your business.
Yeah, this is amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I love it. Yep, that's very true. They all had a plan. I mean, especially Walt Disney. Every time I look at that map, I'm like, holy crap.
Something I heard that they had were standards. That's what I wrote down first. So everybody had standards that they followed, or that, like the football coach had certain standards.
Yep.
The athletes had standards. And Walt Disney had a standard that he went against the grain. Just whatever it was, they all stuck to the same thing.
Yep, I love that, Stephanie. I think that's so true. Yeah, Amy said they thought outside of the box. I definitely agree with that. Stephanie said again, they were all described as achievers. Yes, Jill, for sure. They all had passion, 100%. One of the things I found unique was, in one way, shape, or form, they all somehow started, from when they were young. Like you heard, Walt Disney was drawing at like a super young age. And Tua slept with a football under his arm when he was a kid. And Jeff rewired their whole house when he was in high school. I mean, like even from very early ages, it was almost like they knew, which I think this is fascinating because I just think about their mindsets then. It was almost like they knew what they were good at. And I feel like it's taken me 37 years to figure out what I'm good at. They knew from an early age on what they were good at. I'm like, man, that is strong. Yeah, Dawn, totally agree. Respect, committed, goals, vision, and they were curious. Curious is a big one too. They were definitely curious. It was like they knew that they all, the one thing too, well, I just interrupted my own thought. The one thing too is that half of them were like very supported from their parents and grandparents. And then the other half, either the opposite, like Walt Disney coming from an abusive household. And we don't hear a lot about John's, but I don't know that it was like a what we would call a positive. so I thought it was interesting that they, which makes me think of curious, because they had to have been curious what they could accomplish, either because they were raised up by their family members to be that way, or maybe the opposite, they didn't want to be what their family members were. Yeah, they were definitely all committed for sure. That's a really good one, Dawn. Anything else? Any other thoughts you guys have about them? I love to study people like this, like successful leaders or just people who've made a difference in people's lives. The crazy thing is all of these people have made massive, I mean, look at, honestly, now we said Walt Disney has touched every single one of us. Pretty sure so has Amazon. I don't think there's probably anybody on here who hasn't purchased something from Amazon. So yeah, I just love those four. And if you got any of you that have lead teams or offices or anything like that, and you want to use these, you definitely can. Oh my gosh, I think my mom is on today. She is. She's muted, but I can see her. This might be her first time or second time. That's exciting. Hi, Mom. Okay, so I want to leave you guys with this. Accept what is, let go of what was, have faith for what will be. And I just think this is so good. And I needed this reminder yesterday in a really big way. And sometimes you just have to accept what is, let go of what was, and have faith for what will be. And so I would really encourage you as your homework. I know some people pulled off, I live under a rock because I don't watch the news, so I apologize, but it's so that I can stay focused, because I'll get too into it. So I know a lot of people apparently have pulled out of Netflix. I'm not 100% sure the whole story, but I've been seeing that. So if you still have if you pulled out, like, cool, I respect you. If you still have Netflix, you should go watch the Tua Tagovailoa documentary. It is so good. You guys will be obsessed. It is one of the best mindset stories I have watched. Thank you so much, Alex, for being on. It is one of the best mindset stories I have watched in a really, really, really long time. I mean, you guys know I take notes when I watch Netflix documentaries. I took a ton of notes. It just was really good. So you should go find it. I think if you just search his name on Netflix, yeah, awesome, David. You will really love it, David, but you guys will really like it. And then we'll post all of this in the Facebook group. And I'm glad that it was great timing for some of you. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. And thanks for being on. Thank you. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, Blair. See ya.
Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you. See you guys. Diane, have a safe trip.